Okay, sports fans. I'm now in the picture. It's 8:51 a.m. Saturday morning. Marilyn's at the beach. I can't go to the beach because of my skin cancer stuff. So I'm stuck here in my little closet talking to you guys. You can see it's the last day of August. 30 days have September, April, June, and November. All of us have 31 except for February. There we go. No, we don't want that one. All right, let's see if we can get add Jimmy to the picture. There he is. Here's part of the oops screenshots. There we go. Let's see how our golfer looks. I colorized the picture. I think it was Ben Hogan, and I don't see him on here. Maybe he didn't get carried over. All right. So there's Jimmy on the beach. Back in the days, yeah, I get these skin cancers, and I've had a couple of scary ones. So what's going on in your lives? Anything exciting? The biggest news lately is it seems like Kamala got her bounce came after she was, dragged into the race by the smoke-filled room, the back smoke-filled room. And just had a little sip of hot tea, excuse me. So, I'm sitting here in downtown Boca Raton. 91 degrees on my patio, and it's 68.0 degrees. You can see this little thermometer thing, maybe a little too fine print for the the resolution of this transmission, which is high definition, by the way. It's a Simulcast, Facebook Live. I have 1,000 friends. Some of them listen. Some of them don't. It's not personal. They're just doing something else. I've got so Facebook Live, then YouTube Live. I've got a few friends there, and Twitter Live. All three social networks are broadcasting or carrying. I'm not too sure what nomenclature to use with this. It's too new. They're carrying this broadcast, and they're recording it for the end of time. How about that? That's a long time. And you know, what the heck? Keep plugging away here. Anyway, it's the Simulcast with those three networks. You can see up on the very top. The last words there, think. See you soon. And then the banner starts over again. I had to add a word there to change the grammar. I think I did that. Welcome to Jim Wilson's live simulcast, broadcasting on the three social networks, and anyone else that's interested. But it's going on, you know. I've become a new fan of YouTube Live. YouTube Live is how I get this, my little background music there with the Epidemic instrumental, and a bunch of others. So YouTube has like a music thingy, but it cost me $15 a month. But because I'm a YouTube premium person, I can broadcast live on their channel, so to speak. Let's see, can I stop that and back it up? No. Anyway, so that ribbon on the top, you know, it's just a description. Yeah, so at all times we know what everybody that's listening can know, that the channel is not stuck. I'm stuck, but you're not. 7 minutes and 53 seconds into this, but this JFK news hasn't really filtered. There's not, you know, on real clear politics. It shows the average of their polling and so forth. None of it includes when JFK came aboard with the Trump, you know, with their campaigning together and all that. It's going to take another week where some of that will filter through into the polling results. You know, now that the Democratic convention is over, the Republican convention is over, really not much is going to happen for the next strategic event, so to speak, will be supposedly September 10th, when there's supposed to be a debate, which is, it's not really a debate. That's not what I don't know. To me, it's a debate when you go back and forth between each other. And so the way the last CNN exchange went on with Trump and Biden, I mean, Biden came out and it was like he was, you know, it's like 9 o'clock at night, right? So he needs to go to bed. Apparently it's 7:30. So it was past his bedtime, because when he came out, you know, I'm looking at this debate. I got my cocktail in front of me, which is, I fill up one of these big tumblers with ice, put a 5-second pour of vodka in there, and then fill it up with soda water. So it's like a soda water with vodka flavor. It's a very mild cocktail. It takes me an hour and a half to drink it. Some people drink fast. I don't drink fast. And I can't drink a lot. I don't drink a lot. Anyways, I had my cocktail. Marilyn had her cocktail. I had popcorn. I was ready for the debate. And Biden is, like comatose in front of this microphone. And you had the two pictures. It's like a split screen. On the right side of the screen was Bite Me Biden. And on the left side of the screen is the Trumper. And so it was Biden's first. He was first. Apparently they flipped a coin. And he was up first. So he got the first question. So he delays for 2 or 3 seconds before he started to talk. And then he started to talk and it was terrible. I call it geriatric mistreatment. You shouldn't do this to your seniors. This is the leader of the free world, right? He's got the combination to the nuclear arsenal. And this guy is comatose at 9 o'clock at night. And I looked over to Marilyn. I says, Marilyn, this isn't going to go well for the Democrats. This is terrible. So this went on for an hour and a half. The poor guy couldn't force out, a meaningful answer. And you see Trump standing there, and then he finally kind of peeked over at him. And, Trump, he didn't make a lot of faces and grimaces. He should have. It would have been a little more entertaining. But he was very presidential. He didn't do that. He was pinching himself to not do that. And finally, he looked over to Biden, after one of his, answers that didn't make any sense. And then he finally spoke up and he says, because it was like his turn, he says, I don't suppose you understood anything that was just said. I didn't understand it, so I'm sure you didn't either. And then he answered, it went back and forth, and then it was over. They had a chance to give their final, their wrap-up speech. Anyway, so then, the Democrats met in the back room. This is not democracy. This was, probably how the government's been running for the last, 3.5 years. Because, so you had Nancy Pelosi, you had Schumer, Shoot Me Schumer, and a couple of the major donors. And they decided, well, we got to pull them. That's a new Democratic word, pull. We need to pull them and replace them with Kamala. So even though he got 14 million votes, I mean, this is water over the dam, so it's not like this is going to change. But, poor guy got 14 million votes. The head people in the Democratic Party, including Obama and Clooney said, "We got to pull him. He can't be in the race. He'll destroy the entire party. Up and down the ticket, it'll be a total disaster. We need to put someone else in there because he cannot carry on the debate." So they've been covering. The Democratic Party has been covering up the fact that poor Biden is semi-demented and, really can't, other than casual conversation, that's about it. Looking at him, so Penn really should actually face off with, President Xi in China. So they just said, hell with the 14 million votes. Put Kamala in there. And then boom, she's in there. That's the Democratic Party version of democracy. So they just slipped him out, and slipped her in. And everyone's, it's like, no problem. They have their convention. She gets, all the delegates. And that's the end of that. Amazing. So that's what happened. So now, and then you have Robert F. Kennedy Jr., RFK Jr. I'm throwing my support behind Trump. So, and I'm sure that made the Kennedy family just incensed. But that's what they did. And so then they meet last Friday, 8 days ago, and they hug. They're in Glenville, Arizona, a suburb of Phoenix, Arizona, in a big arena, basketball arena or whatever. It's a big arena. Holds like 20,000 people. I'm making that up. But just looking at it from the perspective that I could see with some of the TV cameras, I switched around a couple of channels. So now you have to wait around for a while to see what the results are. The polling, because Kamala will be past her convention, a couple of weeks. Going a couple of weeks from today. So right before the debate, there'll be all kinds of polls. So that the world can see, pre-debate and post-debate polling. And that'll be really the first thing to, have a clue what might happen with the election is, after the debate. You got the morning after, you got 2 or 3 news cycles. So about 4 or 5 days after that debate, the polling numbers will settle down into some state of change, because that'll be the first significant event with the 2 candidates, knowing that Biden got yanked. That's the new Democratic term, yank. You got to yank them out of there and put in someone else. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? Oh, jeez. I'm just scrolling through, if you can see what I'm doing here. I'm scrolling through. This is what's going to happen with the Apple Watch. I'm very interested in the Apple Watch. I have one. There it is. It is a magical device. Most of the news has to do with, how the Apple Watch performs when you're running, jogging, bicycling, you're in the exercise room, whatever you're doing. For the geriatric set, which I'm apparently part of, and I'm crowding the big 8. Oh my God! And of course, I'm not talking about 18. I'm talking about the number after 79. Ouch! That's scary. Oh, Lordy. But I had an appointment with my cardiologist, I believe yesterday, Friday afternoon. Maybe it was Thursday afternoon. Yeah, I think it was Thursday afternoon. So, had a nice full hour with Dr. Ordonez. Jose R. Ordonez. Ordonez. He was part of the surgery team. He wasn't the surgeon. He was the guy who did the where they stick they give you a mild sedative, and then they stick a tube, a sterile tube, up through your femoral artery, and it goes up in your chest and goes around into your heart, and it's taking pictures. It's live video with this camera that's inside your blood vein. And Ordonez, looking at those films, he's done like 4,000 of these. And he said, you're a candidate for, I count at least 4. You have blockages, and severe blockages in 2 arteries, and 65 to 75% blockage in 2 other arteries. So he says it's amazing that you walk around okay, and you don't collapse with the traumatic artery. I said, no, I didn't collapse. As a matter of fact, I felt no pain whatsoever. I was sitting on the couch watching the news, and my watch went off because it knew I was sitting down, because it can tell with your pulse that you're relaxed sitting on a couch. And then all of a sudden I wasn't relaxed, apparently, internally, because my pulse was like 190, or no, wait a minute, 150. Now when you're sitting on the couch, the pulse shouldn't be at 150. So then I did a, put the blood pressure thingy on, which I happen to have right here. Here's my blood pressure thing, because I don't have the lights on very bright. There we go. Turn up the lights off. Yeah, it wraps up nicely in a nice little package. It said 190 over 120. Not good. My cardiologist did blood pressure twice. He said, James, your blood pressure is 128 over 78. He said, are you 19 years old? How old are you? He said, that is an outstanding blood pressure. Well, thank you, sir. What do you say to your cardiologist when he said, that is an outstanding blood pressure? I said, yeah, that reads pretty good, right? Your nurse got the same number that you did? Similar? Yeah? Yeah, same number. I had to check it because I thought it would be like 148 over 88 or something. No, 128 over 78. Very nice blood pressure. He said, how do you feel? I said, I feel pretty good. No aches, no pains. I have this peripheral neuropathy in my feet. So my feet feel like they're cold, although they're not cold. It feels like I was skiing all day. I said, Dr. Adonis, you know what it's like to ski all day? In the slopes of Colorado. And of course it's 28 degrees out there, in Colorado. So you got ski boots, and they're supposed to be insulated, and you got 3 pair of socks on, so you fill up the boot and don't end up with blisters. But when you're outside in the slopes, on the slopes, whatever, and of course you come from Florida, that's another signal that could be a problem. And so at the end of the day, when you're sitting around the campfire, the fire that's inside, you're sitting around this big octagonal table. We flew there with a sizable crew of like 14 or 16 people, including, I went there with 2 kids, and of course myself and Marilyn and Sandy Adams and Michael Lee Adams, and they brought a couple of their kids, a daughter and a son, and then they brought their friends along, and anyway, I don't know if Crenshaw went on that trip. So we had we were in I can't think of what mountain we were on. I think we're in Snowmass. If someone said, tell me where. I think it was Snowmass, yeah. Because we didn't have to deal with all this foreign language stuff. And our rooms had regular toilets. When you go to Europe and the biggest signal that you're not in the United States is you go to the bathroom. The plumbing and the toilet situation is very different than the kind of toilets that we have in the United States. God. And of course the toilet paper is a little rough around the edges. So if you're used to real soft toiletries that we have in the United States, when you get to Germany or whatever kind of Swiss Alps the toilet paper is like, the stuff you pull out of the, when you have a wall-mounted thing that dispenses paper products, like if you were going to wash your hands and dry them, you pull the paper out of the paper dispenser. That's what the toilet paper is like. So for the ladies that are used to very, very soft toilet paper when they wipe off their privates, in Europe they have tough skin down there, down yonder, because that paper is a little rough. Well, I'm seeing in the news broadcast here, which I'm wiggling, Apple plans to launch brand new product with the iPhone 16 that has people expecting big changes. Well, what could that be? That's the first I heard of a new product. A brand new product. Well, I'm interested in the watch. That's where I was. There it is, the Apple Watch. Yep. Because it keeps track of my vitals. It tells me, it doesn't tell the blood pressure yet. That's coming, I understand. How the heck you could do blood pressure from a watch with no pumping up of there's got to be another way of reading that. And Apple, their wisdom has figured out how to measure your blood pressure from the wrist without blowing up your wrist with a pneumatic, pump air and then you let the air out and the veins react to the pressure around the circumference of your wrist or the circumference of your upper arm or whatever. Anyway, I understand they're working on blood pressure right into the watch. That would be unbelievable. And your blood sugar. Oh my God. If they can produce an accurate blood sugar reading from your wrist, encased in the Apple Watch, which is already doing blood oxygen, so I can see my blood oxygen levels. I can show you right here in my fancy display here, if I can, pardon me while there we go. There it is. So yesterday, my average, that SpO2, do a reverse pinch on this right here. See that? That's off my watch. That's a display that I froze onto this image. Yesterday's average blood oxygen is 94. And my average today is 91.3. That's a little on the low side. So there's my measures my heart rate, 77 beats per minute. It graphs it. Oops, you see the graph? I mean, it's all right off the watch. Feeds the information into my iPhone, and then the iPhone comes up with, with these results. You can see graphs. You can see graphs right on the watch if you want to. So the two big items that the Apple Watch currently does not deliver results on yet is blood pressure and blood sugar. Now, Abbott Laboratories has a thing that you put on your arm, which feeds into your phone, showing blood sugar, which is marvelous. But it costs you, $150 a month out of pocket to have this device in your arm 24/7. It costs you $35 for 2 weeks. So it's $70 for that's right. I have a prescription, and it's by prescription, so the copay. I don't know whether the insurance pays like $10, some stupid number. And I got to pay $75. It's a 2-pack, so it's like a month. 2 weeks and 2 weeks to 4 weeks. Pay $75 a month for that. So, but that's they call it CGM, continuous glucose monitoring. Well, as a loyal Ozempic user, a modern drug produced by the good folks in, I believe, Norway. Can you imagine? Novo Nordisk, name of the company. It's in Norway. Engineers in Norway have come up with a drug. It's a big drug company, Novo Nordisk. Oh my God, it's huge. So they have taken the drug, put it through the FDA, got FDA approval. Ozempic. 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 It is a magical. I happen to have in my very hands here the pen. This is an empty one. Yep. That's it. You lift off this little clear plastic top, and it exposes a very fine hypodermic, which is 4 millimeters long, which is short, and 32 gauge, which is the thinnest needle manufactured today. And you crank this little guy up, and once a week you stick it in yourself, which injects 2 milligrams of semaglutide is the active ingredient in this. So inside this cartridge, if it had any in it, but it doesn't, you can see the plunger is all the way up to the top, which you can barely see on the, it's a little out of focus because it's focused on all this stuff. So this is good for 4 injections once a week. On Wednesday, I give myself a little jab, as they say. I just stick it in my stomach here. You got your I probably got 3/4 of an inch of fatty tissue. Maybe a half inch, and this is a 1/4 inch. So you just stick it in as far as it'll go. And it has a flat surface here. So the needle only goes in so far. And then when you stick yourself, you just push this little button on top and hold it down, and it injects semaglutide under your skin. Subcutaneous, they call that. Subcutaneous, under the skin. And then it, just, so you have like a, I don't know how else to call it, like a little puddle of this, and when you pull the needle out, you stick your finger over the injection site and rub it around a little bit, so your skin kind of seals up the little tiny hole. I mean, you can't feel it, I swear. When you just, you don't stick it in, real slow. You push it in all the way. You just push it all the way onto your skin. Forget there's even a needle on there because you can't feel the needle. Now you don't want to rub it around, like you don't want to scrub it. You just stick it in. That's my hand. You just stick it in and then push the button. But you don't want to do it in your hand or your wrist because you don't have a lot of fatty tissue up. Which I have some around my stomach, not much, but I used to be like 190 pounds. Now I'm 172, fully dressed. I got on the scale at Donas's office, and I said, just slide all those things to 172, and it will come to a nice balance. And plus or minus, a third of a pound or something. 172 is a good number. And she did it, and she said, yeah. I said, yeah, I know my weight. I weigh myself every once in a while, and 172 is the magic number. So I was 170, let's say 179 before I started Ozempic 4 months ago. I started, let's say February. Let's say 1st of February. Because I had a doctor's appointment January 8th of this year, and that was when I discussed this with my primary care doctor, and Dr. Thomas Lubin, who is, in the medical center of the Boca Medical Baptist Hospital System. They bought it. They kept the name the same, but it's part of the Baptist Hospital System. Anyway, so I started it, let's say February 1st. You have to get the prescription. So let's say February 1st, I started giving myself the jab. Now I was on insulin, for several years before that. So I know how to give myself injections. And they make, Novo Nordisk also makes the insulin that I was using. And they make the pen that dispenses the insulin. So I'm familiar with the whole, pen style self-injecting pen, Now when I was taking insulin, I poke it over on this side of my stomach, on the right side. And in the instructions, of course I read the instruction manual. I've been known to do that. On the left side, they don't use Ozempic in the same situs that you do your insulin injections. If you do them, do it on the other side of your midriff, if that's where you're taking your injections. You can stick it in the top of your thigh. There's lots of fatty tissue up there, top of either leg, and your stomach. So I just hit it in my stomach area. I have a little more fatty tissue there. Not much, but a little more. It used to be a lot more, but I shortened up my belt about 6 inches of belt. That's quite a difference in your circumference when you can take 6 inches off your circumference. So my circumference is now, like 34 inches instead of 40 inches. I'd say, 36 waist is a perfect waist size for pants that you would buy, and then you buy a belt and you tighten it up, and the pants crimp all around your midriff. Anyway, so I'm using Ozempic on the left side of my abdomen. Once a week, you give yourself the jab, as they say. You can't feel it. The needle is so fine. It is the diameter of 2 human hairs. A mosquito bite, you feel, when that bug sticks its thing in you. This injection thing, you don't feel it. I swear, you do not feel the actual needle going into your skin. You don't feel it. And with a very steady hand, then you push the button on the top of the pen, and it injects, several milliliters. A milliliter is 1,000th of a liter. So it's a small, it's like a third of a teaspoon of fluid. And in that third of a teaspoon, which is, a milliliter or two, is 2 milligrams of semaglutide, which is the active ingredient that Novo Nordisk invented, created, got approved through the FDA, 5 years ago. So there've been millions of people doing Ozempic. So you got a lot of field study there, people complaining and this and that, or adverse drug reactions. If you had a lot of ADRs, adverse drug reactions, I'm speaking medical. So if they had a lot of ADRs, adverse drug reactions, with Ozempic, it would be in the news, and everybody would know. It wouldn't be a surprise. But they don't. I mean, millions of users. And the purpose of the drug, if you read the fine print that comes with which I unfold, it's in microprint. I read all that stuff. I'm a technical reader. I'm a technical writer. I'm not a writer of prose. I'm a technical writer. I wrote a book, had it published. It was the book used when I taught digital photography at FAU. And the book with my name on it in the bookstore is what the students had to buy. And they paid $145 for this book I wrote. Oof, talk about highway robbery, $145. But it was a beautiful production. Anyway, I don't want to go through that story now. So, anyway, the purpose of Ozempic, according to the bulletin, according to everything that you hear, read, and so forth on the TV advertising, and Ozempic is advertised pretty dramatically on TV. It's a good commercial. People are singing and dancing and all this stuff. It's a nice little tune. It's for people that have, blood sugar issues. So if you have blood sugar issues and you're diabetic, Ozempic is the magic drug for the diabetic people. I guess I have to call myself diabetic. I'm kind of like pre-diabetic. Some people are really, really diabetic. I'm not. I guess I'm diabetic. If I don't take insulin or Ozempic, and I have, if I go down to lemongrass and have lunch with the rice and all that stuff, regular portion, not a lot, and you got takeout, which you bring home, my blood sugar would be 400, 500. That's not good. Some people just don't treat their diabetes. But I'm a biochemist, so I keep track of everything. Now blood sugar doesn't come up. That's not an ingredient of your Apple Watch yet. Blood sugar and blood pressure. Now, you get a lot of other things on this. I can see blood oxygen, as you can see on this chart up here, on the lower right-hand corner, SpO2. That's your blood oxygen, O2. 94. That would be, for a very healthy person, that'd be 98. But for a person that's the elderly, let's put it that way, my average yesterday was 94. My average today is 91.3. That's even lower than 94. You know, that's a little on the low side. So, and the reason why is I have a little cold, you know, a little congestion. So my lungs aren't operating as efficiently as they should. So the SpO2 is a little lower than normal. And I can see a graph of it if I were to be so inclined to look at a graph of it. But that's the magic of the Apple Watch. It keeps track of my pulse, keeps track of my blood oxygen. Now, supposedly with the release of the Apple Watch 10, I had 9 on my wrist, which is unbelievable. I really, you know, I can see the state of the charge on my car, which is, I got a 37% charge in the battery, which is, you know, like 120 miles. The range on that is 300. So a third of 300 is 100. It's a little more, and it's 37%. So it's like 110 miles. So it would show my blood oxygen here if I had this right here. Shows it at 189 when the last thing on my arm expired. I have a new set in Publix Pharmacy right now. What's this 108? What does that stand? I'll tap that one. Oh, that's another thing showing. See, 104 miles, it shows the miles. 37% battery, 104 miles of range. So that's, you can see that on your watch. Oh, Lordy. That's crazy. Yeah, so that's technology. Now there's supposedly, you know, these rumors, Apple is very secretive, you know, on their stuff. So on the 9th of September will be the unveiling of whatever the heck's going to happen with the iPhone 16. This one I have, that's, you can see right here, my finger. 53 minutes we've been on air with this simulcast. Question or comments? Call 561-416-1100. That's my cell phone here. You can call me and I'll answer the phone. Or you can text me and then I'll see the text message. And it will pop up on my devices here simultaneously. That's a nice way of communicating, is the text message. My plastic surgeon, Dr. Eugene Strasser, he looks at all my little spots on my skin, determines by his visualization whether a particular little marking on my skin represents something that could be cancerous. I showed him 8 spots one time. I had them marked on a graphic. So I'm showing him, here's that spot. Yeah, how about that spot? He says, no, I'm not interested in that one. I said, how about this one? No, I'm not interested in that one. That's how he says it. I'm not interested in that one. He looks at this one, he says, no, I'm not interested in that one. I said, all right, the 8th one is this one right here. Right here in the middle of my throat. What do you think about that one? He says, I'm interested in that one. I said, okay. What do you mean by that exactly? He said, yeah, that looks like a carcinoma. I said, oh, I don't like that. He said, yeah, I need to take a little sample of that and send it over to the laboratory for them to look at it under the microscope. So his nurse opens up a little bottle, unscrews it, and it's half filled with probably saline solution. That's a guess, but that's probably a good guess. And the good doctor with his little syringe, super sharp knife, cuts off a little piece of the thing that he thought was interesting to look at. It just looked like a little red dot. Bam. He says, yeah, we need to send that to the lab. So he sent it to the lab. He tells the nurse, he says, put a rush order on this, which means they come back with the results in 36 hours instead of 4 days. He said, yeah, we don't want to go any longer than we have to, because if it is cancerous, then we need to come back and cut out a piece of skin about the size of a quarter. We took off, we just took off that little dot, and I put one stitch on there to show the central point of where that dot was removed. Because we need to know the center, because we're gonna go out, 8 millimeters all the way around. So it's 16 millimeters across. That's a little more than a half inch. Size of a nickel, let's say. So sure as he calls me up, he says, it's a squamous cell carcinoma. It is not malignant yet. But we need to, cut out more tissue about the size of a nickel. And there's a 98% chance that I've got everything. Then around the peripheral of that nickel-sized piece of skin that he takes off, they examine all the peripheral cells. They go all under the microscope. They look at the peripheral cells, all on the edges of that nickel-sized piece of skin, tissue, as they say. And if that's clear, then we're done. If that's not clear, meaning there's some squamous cells, in the edge of that, then we got to take out a bigger piece. And then we send that in the laboratory, and he said, with taking out the size that I took out, there's, you don't want to say there's no chance, because there's always a chance, always the possibility. We live in a world of possibilities. So it's a very low possibility that there are any squamous cells floating around, Anyway, so that's all I know. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, what happened here? Let's get rid of this reminders. I'm getting reminders up on my screen here. I don't think you're seeing it. We'll get rid of this. I don't know why that's there. There we go. All right, so we've been yakking here for 58 minutes. Let's see on this display. What's this? Trauma responses. I don't know what that. Well, I took that out. This Caitlin Clark is, the women's basketball. Who even know they had a WNBA? Caitlin Clark brought with her such name recognition. I mean, she dribbles down the court and throws the sucker up and swooshes it, from all over the court. Doesn't matter where it is. Half court, way behind the three-point line. And she just pops them in there. So she's, she gets 20 points a game, not 40 points a game, but 20. She has scored, 40 or more points in a game. But in the professional, I don't know if she's gotten up that high. I think it's 20, 25 points, which is really super for any individual on a team, to throw down 20 points. So the rest of the WNBA players, they all don't like her because she's got such notoriety, and no one even knows what the hell the names are of the other people, and they've been on the team in the league, for 8 years, and they don't even know who they are, but they know Caitlin Clark, number 22, Iowa. Yep. So she's always getting picked on. She's getting beat up on the court. The ladies just give her the old elbow treatment. And that has continued. Now she's been in there for a couple of months. And they're still, treating her with respect. But she's still slinging down the shots. I'm not talking about from her own teammates. This is from the opposing teams. So as you can see on the left side of your screen, Vance is keeping them. Vance, I tell you what, I've watched a couple of his speeches. J.D. Vance does. He's a very nice. He does a real good job giving public speeches. Whether he's got 100 or 1,000 people or 5,000 people. Well, I don't know what the crowd size is that he garners, but Trump he's a celebrity. Vance is a senator. He's on the ticket with Trump. That's pretty exciting, right? To be the vice president with Trump, because Trump can't say you're fired. I don't think that works in national politics. When you're the VP and you win the election, if you're the VP candidate and you were fortunate enough to win the election, even with all the cheating that goes on, and there is a certain degree of cheating, so on real close elections, you win by landslides and they can't cheat you. But we don't run in landslides here. The swing states are really tight. At least they were the last time Trump ran. And you actually count the votes. Polling is one thing. Now, Trump, overperforms his polling, which means that his actual vote counts usually better than polling numbers. And the theory behind that is that the Trump voter might be, secretive, and they may not answer polls because they don't want to. We live in a crazy society. I mean, I wouldn't put a Trump sticker on my car because the car would probably get vandalized. Some asshole would, break a window with a hammer or something, or scratch your paint with a key or something. So no Trump stickers on my car. No way. I don't have security. I mean, when I get out of the car and go into Publix, my car's naked out there. So no political slogans on my car. Not one suggestion. I don't have a Trump keychain that can be seen from the outside looking in. Nope. There is no political paraphernalia laying around on or in my cars. Nope. And that's probably why Trump over-delivers from the polling, because some people just don't want to admit that they are going to vote for Trump. So they keep their mouth shut and don't answer that question, or don't, as soon as they find out it's a polling organization, they hang up. So it's hard to get sometimes an accurate reading with Trump, because he's, some people like him, but they're afraid to admit it, I guess. Anyway, I watched Vance give speeches, and he is exciting. He's forceful. He is, delivers a speech that you can understand. So he articulates well. He pronounces all the big words properly, if there are any big words. He does a good job, I have to say. And I wanted Marco Rubio to be his running mate. I think he wanted Marco Rubio as his running mate, but his sons preferred Vance. I don't know. I like the Latin idea, the fact that he speaks Spanish fluently, and he looks Spanish. Marco does. So he's a multi-term senator, so he's very experienced inside, the inside workings of the government, knows where all the potholes are. Vance is a junior senator. I mean, he just got elected 18 months ago. Right? This is every two years. Yep, every 2 years, 1/3 of the Senate gets elected. Well, J.D. Vance won his Senate seat 18 months ago. So he's just figured out where the men's room is in the Senate. But everyone that knows him in the Senate says he's an articulate senator, and he's, as they say, he's cognitive. How about that? He's cognitive. So he's articulate and he's cognitive, and he's mindful, full of mind. So those are good words to hear from fellow senators, and we've got some really good Republican senators, I will say. There are a few good Democratic ones, but they're few and far between. So that's why this little image is on my display. And he knows how to bob and weave with questions. There he is. There's another picture from Getty Images. I've taken pictures for Getty and Reuters. Sports images, not political ones. There he is again. So he's animated. He knows how to give a speech. You don't go to sleep in a Vance speech. He pretty much says things and you pay attention. Yeah. Costco. Consumer staples headed for the best month since 2022. There's an aerial photograph of a Costco sign that's on the side of a fluted, they call that a fluted concrete block wall in Richmond, California. And you see the bumps. So on one side of the concrete blocks, it's fluted, So there's a rough texture. And then they put the Costco letters on the fluted block. These black lines you see, there's a row of lights, and that's the shadow of the poles that are holding the lights, and the actual light fixture, that's the shadow. So at nighttime that lights up the sign. So instead of the letters being lit, the letters are, 1 inch thick and just attached to the wall, concrete wall. And the wholesale, those are raised letters also. Costco wholesale. And there's 3 lines. So you got 3 blue lines in front of the letter W, where it says wholesale. Which, I guess it is. You have to buy, when you buy a box of Cheerios in there, it's a really big box. Sometimes they put 3 boxes of Cheerios and cellophane them together, and then put a different number on there for the scanner to read. $18, but you got to buy, 10 pounds of Cheerios. Everything comes in bigger bottles. Like a bottle of pretzels, it's like a gallon jug. I think it's actually, volumetric. It's probably a gallon jug, maybe a gallon and maybe 5 quarts size. That's the smallest size portion of pretzels you can buy. That's like $10, I think. For I used to buy the pretzels. I don't anymore. That's one of those things that my cardiologist says, no, don't do that. All right. The Jets are reaping exactly what they sowed, giving Aaron Rodgers unlimited power to do whatever the hell he wants. He shows up whenever the hell he wants for practices. He's kind of a, I'm great, so don't mess with me, I guess. And he gets away with it because he gets away with it. Look at that. I thought that was an interesting image that I came across. A bunch of currencies of all the different countries out there. Yeah. 5,000, whatever those are. In Tasmania. Tasmania. And there's a $1 bill down there. South Sudan. Whoops. Anyway, it was colorful. Figured, all right, let's grab that. The stock market is going nuts because they expect the inflation rate is like 2.9. So it's not 2, it's 2.9. Well, 3 as compared to 2, I mean, they're small numbers, but when it's supposed to be 2 and it's 3, that's 50% higher, right? You take 2 and you divide it by 2, okay? And that's 1. So if you add 1 to 2, you get 3. So 50% of 2 is 1. So if you add 1 to 2, you get 3. That's a 50% increase. I don't know, so 2.9 is, a 45%, higher than it should be. The Fed target is 2. It's not 3. It's not 2.9. But, the stock market people figured, hey, if it's 2.9, maybe the Feds will, instead of increasing the rates, they'll, what I think they should do is do nothing. Leave the rates the way they are, and let that sucker settle down to 2. If you drop the rate, you have the chance that rates will start going up again. You can't have a 0% interest rate market. All right, what's going on here with I'm going backwards. Oh yeah, I guess we don't have a lot of images for Saturday because I just got up and got on the air, right? Wham bam. There's Vance. That's the end of the imaging. Okay, let's go back to here. I'll go this way. So since the iPhones are going to be changing out in mid-September, they're going to have their big pitch describing all the marvelous improvements. The improvements they do to the iPhone are what I would call incremental. They're incremental improvements to a device that's already, near perfect. It's hard to believe that they could make anything better in this iPhone. I mean, the camera system and the software in there is just mind-blowing to me that I could take a picture of the moon and see the craters with an iPhone, with the telephoto lens and the digital, the digital zoom, if you will. You see the craters in your iPhone and snap the picture. That's like, what? Yeah, I feel like going into my closet and pulling out my Canon camera I paid $4,000 for and sell it for $3,000 and say, to hell with it. My iPhone does a better job. It doesn't, but it's close. I mean, God, you gotta be kidding me. This thing fits in your pocket. So it's got an unbelievable camera system, images, the lenses, the zoom, with the quad prismatic feature of the zoom, whatever that means. They kind of show a graphic of what it means. It's like two prisms that are, attached to each other. Anyway, I have a 1 tetrabyte. That's 1,000 gigabytes. 1,024 gigabytes is the tetrabyte. I have a little over a tetrabyte of total storage capacity in the iPhone. That's clicking off the time right here, which you see, that little timer. 1 hour and 18 minutes it says, if you can see those little numbers. You see over here it's 10:48, 10:09 a.m. Anyway, the reason why I'm looking at that storage is to see if the 1 gigabyte is sufficient, or 1 tetrabyte, and it is. So if they had a 2 tetrabyte opportunity, I would not choose it, because I'm using 50% right now, and that includes, as you can see, 91,000 pictures resident on my phone in their natural state. They're not condensed. I don't want my images condensed, because you condense, uncondense, compress is the actual word. I don't want compressed images on my phone to make extra room. Yeah, I could pick up, an extra 100 gigabytes probably. So instead of available 548, it could be 648. Well, no, I don't want to compress my images, because compressing and uncompressing will deteriorate the quality of the images. So I want them in their natural state. But you see the other number that says 553? I have 553 applications. Those icons. I have 553 applications. So I want to go through my phone. I do not use 553 applications. I use probably 50. And I probably use 10 and the other 40 occasional. But I do not use 553 applications. So I have to go through my phone and erase the ones that when I look at them, I can't even tell what it is. But you know, when you read about things and you say, download the app, so you download the app. So, but if you don't use it, you don't think to get rid of it. Well, that number used to be 693 instead of 553. So I've gotten rid of 150 apps. But I want to get rid of another 150 apps. I want to bring that number down to 400. Because we're getting ready to change phones. So when I get it down to 400, and the backup that'll occur, it backs up. You get backups every day, overnight. There's automatic backing up. And I can look on the phone and see the time and the date of the last backup. And it will be, whatever, it shows the time and date. But every day, it does a backup. And that backup is what I'm going to grab when I get the new phone. And that backup then gets spooled into the new phone. So I don't want to carry over an extra 300 apps that I don't use, because that's wasting space. And we don't want to waste space. I want to keep my terabyte. I want to get those available gigabytes up to 590 gigabytes available. Under 50% is ideal. So that way, if you retain your phone for 2 or 3 years, maybe that available space, because you can increase it. Whatever you get is what you got. There's no way of opening up the phone and adding gigabytes of storage. It's in the chip. So that's my little exercise when I'm sitting there with a program that may not be as interesting as it could be. When you fiddle with things. So I fiddle with my phone. I'm getting rid of apps. And I might open the app in case I couldn't recognize what it is by the shape of the icon and maybe the name that's under the icon. Anyway, I'm going to go through and get rid of apps that I don't use. There used to be a feature in the operating system where it would show like an arrow or something, or if you haven't used an app in the last 4 or 5 months, it wouldn't stay resident in your phone. It would be an app that you could easily download, but if you weren't using it, it wouldn't store it on board, and it would show the app with an arrow, like a little purple arrow down. But they don't do that anymore. They changed the operating system, so your apps are on your phone until you intentionally get rid of them. So I'm intentionally getting rid of them. Anyway, so that's a screen image of what my disk drive or the storage system in the operating system of my phone. That's what it looks like as of, that's 12:25 a.m. Yeah, a couple of days ago. So I can look at my phone right now. I can grab this little sucker and go like that and touch my system thing, go to general, About? There it is, 553 apps. No change. That says 550. Yeah, because this is like midnight. Well, at 10 a.m. there's no change. Yeah, it's okay. There will be a change. Yep. There you go. There's my stopwatch. 1 hour and 25 minutes on the air. This is a surprise Saturday broadcast. 3-day weekend for those that are in the banking business. Yep. I'm using this screen up here because this screen down here was discharged for some reason, or it didn't charge overnight. Swipe. That's 1225. That's 1225. There's two of them. There's two of them there for some reason. I can't tell why there's two of them. So let's get rid of one of them. Elon Musk coming over to the Trump side of the political conversation was a little bit of a surprise because he's been, a vocal Democrat for years. But he looked at this election and the state of our economy and said, you know what? When Trump was president, I was selling a lot more cars. And everything he says makes a lot of sense. And I want the borders closed down. And I want to drill, baby, drill, because we need energy. We need to increase our grid. We need money. So sell oil. Drill, baby, drill means we're actually producing more oil this year than the last year of the Trump year. So how can that be? Well, people, in Texas, for example, they're drilling on the private property. Where Biden and Harris, it's a two-man team, right? The two of them prevented drilling on public property. And there's an awful lot of, gold, liquid gold, under the surface of the public property. So, with Trump elected, companies, private companies will be very interested in drill, baby, drill. And they know they can be drilling for years because it's at least a 4-year term. So he wants to create so much oil that we are an oil exporter. And the money, the billions, hundreds of billions that we get from those oil sales will pay down our debt because it's a 34 trillion. And we could, conceivably, because we're a big country and we have huge reserves. We could sell, $1 trillion a year worth of oil and pay down our debt in his term $4 trillion. Instead of it going up, it goes down. So maybe we become a $29 trillion country instead of a $35 trillion country. Everybody would really like that in the financial markets. And if we could sell the petroleum products to the world at the rate of $1 trillion a year, we could seriously pay down our national debt, which is, unheard of. We have unheard of spending, and if we could start paying down the debt, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to drill like crazy and fill up our strategic reserve. That'll happen really fast with drill, baby, drill. And produce so much oil in excess of our consumption, that we, even though you got the green, but, our oil or a petroleum product, whether you're selling crude oil or refined product, China will take crude or refined. That country is 5 times the size of ours. They have 1,400,000,000 population. They got 1 billion more people than we have. We don't even have 400 million. We're 350 million. So, they're 5 times bigger than we are. They're 4.5. So it's big, huge country. It's, unimaginable potential sophistication, the brain power inside of China. We're okay. We're all screwed up now, but if we're running properly, we're okay. But China is certainly a country that we should be friendly with them. They shouldn't be an enemy. We should be friendly with China. I mean, they have a different political system, which is fine. They can have their communists and we can have our democracy, and live on the same planet and be friends. We should, have an exchange of ideas instead of having spies on each side. That's the way when I grew up. We want China as a friend, not an enemy. Now, you don't give away all your trade secrets. They're talking about public properties for, golfing. Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. And now our famous, and there they are, our famous golfer is, and the one I follow and appreciate, mild-mannered. I think he was raised in the Carolinas, I think. Scotty Scheffler. He's playing in a tournament now. I think it's in Atlanta, Georgia. There's some tropical disturbances that we're keeping our eye on. They haven't turned cyclonic yet. Little I know about meteorology. Cyclonic means, creating that rotational. Let's light up the screen here and look at. It's amazing, and I can touch on this. It's an application called My Radar. Allow while using the app. It wants to know where we are, and that produces a little blue dot right there. If we drill down deep enough, there it is. See, Boca Raton. You can't see it on that screen, probably. But this shows all the cloud disturbances. We've got a little something going on right there over Nassau. No cyclonic action there, so let's shrink it back. See, there's that red X. 50% chance. Aha! You see right there? Well, I'm sorry, you can't see it. There is the beginnings of some rotational cyclonic activity with the winds, because this Radar Pro shows the winds. I can show it on this screen. There's my radar right there. Touch it. There we go. Let's go full screen on that display. There we go. We can brighten that up a little bit while using There we go. Yeah, that's bright enough. Okay, let's pinch so we get a wider view. And there we are. Let's look at what's going on out here. Any of this stuff. Any cyclonic. No, see, you can see the winds. You see there's white. Let's see. It's trying to be cyclonic. So my guess is that disturbance will become some kind of a hurricane thing. Yep, see, you can see these winds coming up and around and going. The X is like over the edge of it. Let's look at this one over here, this one with the red. Yeah, that's becoming cyclonic. Yesterday it wasn't, it was just a bunch of clouds. You know, those are severe storms. That's severe downpour of rain. Now, if you get them to start spinning, that's what causes the beginnings of a tropical storm. Gets over 75 miles an hour, I guess, and it's a hurricane. But see, the winds are starting to go counterclockwise. Yep, I see them on both displays. I'm going to zoom in on this one, and that is becoming cyclonic. Yep, so that's how these storms become sophisticated organization. I'm trying to use the buzzwords of the meteorologist, since I'm just a character here on the here I am, full screen. Oh, that's the top of the. Well, I haven't had much of my tea. Nice and warm. I have a little bowl of oatmeal raisin cookies. That's my breakfast. Yes, sirree, Bob. Yeah, I got my bullets here from my last display. I meant to show you what this 5.7 ammunition looks like in relation to the 9mm. Because most people are familiar with 9mm, but not the 5.7. So we'll take one of these out and just compare. Compare and contrast. So we'll turn up the light. There we are. Sitting in the dark here. And focus is cool closer. There we go. So the 9mm, you see it's bigger in diameter. I'll turn this. There you go, see that? But the casing is a little longer. So 9mm is a little fatter. So the ammunition, the bullet part of this is 5.7 millimeters in diameter of that bullet. But it fires out of the gun at 2,000 feet per second. This fires out the gun at about 1,300 feet per second. Now I have super duper ammunition down there. This stuff right here. This shoots out. Well, that's what this is. This is a very high velocity, supersonic 9mm. You see when they say hollow point? Well, if you look at the end, you can see it's hollow. Yeah. And then it has these little slits all the way around. This sucker, when it fires out of your handgun, it's coming out, has a muzzle velocity of 1,350 feet per second. And they've measured it. You know, I've seen, you know, these guys that have the tools to measure the velocity of the ammunition as it leaves the muzzle. Now, when it leaves the muzzle of a long, you know, a rifle, where the barrel is 18 inches long instead of 8 inches long, that means the pressure, you know, is like 50,000 pounds per square inch. I think that's the actual pressure inside the chamber as the bullet, you know, moves out. So out of a long gun, out of a rifle, the ammunition comes out at like 2,400 feet per second. Out of a pistol, it comes out at 1,300 feet per second, which is still super fast. So when that, there's a lot of velocity behind that bullet. So when it hits the rabbit or whatever you're shooting at, or the target, it's, you know, it's a high velocity. It's a little bullet at a high velocity. But when it hits, it explodes the target. So it's, I mean, it doesn't have an explosive charge in it. But when the bullet hits, since you saw the little slots, it breaks up. And so if it hits a gallon jug, it explodes a gallon jug. If it hits your head, it basically explodes your brain. You know, you're a dead duck if you get hit with that kind of a bullet. Super high velocity, supersonic as opposed to subsonic. Subsonic meaning below the speed of sound. Supersonic meaning it goes faster than the speed of sound. And so if you get hit by the bullet, you get hit by the bullet before you hear the boom from the gun. You know, because when you discharge your gun, and you know, it's like an explosion. So you hear the gunfire. Well, you get hit by the bullet before you hear the gunfire, which is kind of an incredible thought. So the guy standing next to you sees you reaching for the wound before the sound of the weapon is heard. You know, that's how the supersonic ammunition works. The NATO round, same thing. I think the muzzle velocity of the NATO round, it's a bigger bullet. You know, it travels, you know, right at this, you know, it's, I think it travels right at the speed of sound. Oh, no, it's faster. I'm sorry. It's like 1,900 feet per second. Whereas this little guy, this little 9mm round, is traveling at, you know, 2,500 feet per second, a little faster. 500 feet per second faster. But, you know, super fast and super fast plus a little bit is still super fast. They're both supersonic ammunitions. All right, let me crank this back so that my station here is in proper focus. All right, so we got the weather. We are showing the weather. Add that back into our screen. And there you go, you can see the weather right there. I usually like the everybody being I'm going to swap cameras, so to speak. Swap video sources so that There's, you look to the left to see the visual aids. That's happened to be my Radar Pro. It's updating. Boom, just updated everything. It says 10:30 exactly. So it's the display we have is about 6 minutes behind reality, because this is a radar screen. 10:30, and you can see it's 10:37. So let's say you're 7 minutes behind. But I see cyclonic. Yeah, there's definitely wind going in a counterclockwise fashion. But the clouds are ahead of it. This other one. So this is the yellow. Well, I'm looking at the yellow, and yeah, there's the other one. That has cyclonic motion too of the wind. Now, when the clouds start getting caught up in that cyclonic wind direction, but definitely the wind is coming up and swirling around. Yep. So it has the capability of becoming at least a tropical storm, you know, cyclonic motion, cyclonic wind pattern with 45 mile an hour wind speed. Yeah. 35, 45, 55, you know. It gets more intense. It's over warm water, so we have two different cyclonic visuals on the radar screens that I'm looking at. Now the X's aren't exactly where the cyclones are. The red X is, but the yellow one is it's getting, I mean, as we've been looking at this for the last 10 minutes, it's definitely, we got two, what looks like hurricanes coming at us. And then there's a lot of stuff going on here over Africa. And that keeps coming right over, right across the Atlantic, from the western shore of Africa, Senegal, and it just comes straight out over the Atlantic. And there's definitely cyclonic action there. It's amazing. And now I see some clouds, some storm material that's getting caught up in that cyclonic motion. And there's another bunch of stuff that's getting ready to come off, you know, the western shore of Africa. So in the next few days, we're going to have three of them coming at us. They said it's going to be a very, very active hurricane season. Well, so far it's been very inactive, but I think that's going to change. Now, whether will it create 24 named storms by the end of hurricane season, which is in November, first week of November. We're going to have a very active September and October. You got 2 months there. You know, they actually extended the hurricane season to include the first week or two in November. So September, October are going to be, I would imagine, very active, because we've had nothing so far. We've only had one. And it went right at us and then went up to Bermuda and beat up Bermuda. That's an island country, right? Out in the middle of the Atlantic. Talk about being isolated. Eesh. Well, Publix is telling me I have prescriptions ready. Yeah. So I don't know if Marilyn went to the beach with her. She went to the high school and Lynn Ward is her name. She went to high school with this girl. So, they're both 70. So they go to the beach. Lynn Ward, lives by herself. She's not, her husband died, 5 years ago. Westfield. I think they were actually divorced. Anyway, so she's living by herself. And, she's living on the, whatever the government gives her. She's disabled, has a disability, walks around with a cane. So Marilyn, like every 2 weeks, not every week, but every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, she'll go spend the morning with her high school friend, and they've been friends all along, right to now. So she'll spend 2 or 3 hours with her on a Saturday or Sunday morning. And they were planning on doing that today, so 8:30, Marilyn bolts out of here to go pick up Lynn to go to the beach. I assume they went to the beach, and hopefully it's not raining. When you're in South Florida, it can rain anytime. Oh, let's go take a look. I can get off this hurricane watch stuff and find, where's that little blue dot? There we go, got so much cloud activity I can't see what the hell I am. That's Houston. Oh, there we go. Went too far. Alright, so we can do the expando thing here because so it's partly cloudy, it's not raining over the beach because it should be right there, Highland Beach. Oop, that piece of rain just went by. That blue circle means there's a power outage. Let's take a look. 816 people do not have power. Right here, and they lose power all the time. Yep, that's the same one.
It's 10:45.
I mean, we had some very dramatic storms that comes through. There's a bunch that are hanging out over, they're about 25, 30 miles off the coast. And they're big ones with high tops and lots of lightning. But they're not over the edge. They're right, the Bahamas are getting killed the last couple of days with dramatic lightning storms. But right now, the weather is clear for Maryland's beach activity. All right, I'm going to be done here. And we've got almost 2 hours worth of conversation. I appreciate all your text messaging and communications. And I will what I always do is come back to my images. And pick up today's. I go full screen on the day, in case you forgot. It's August. Whoops, I got the wrong. That's not the right one. We need to get where the heck are we? Saturday the 31st. That's the right day. The last day of the month. August 31. Sunday is the first day of September. So we go to month 9 instead of month 8. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye.